Whether you believe in ghosts or not, it's pretty tough not to get freaked out when you're alone and you hear something go bump in the...
I'm sorry, but I'm already getting freaked out.
Bryce, we're barely getting started with this episode's teaser and you're already getting scared?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think I can read another haunted trail story, especially with the creepy music playing in the background.
Oh no, girl. Don't worry, you won't be reading one.
Oh, okay, good.
You'll be reading the one about the crazy haunted house.
Wait, what?
Cue intro. Tales of unexplainable happenings are passed down from family members, friends, coworkers, and even our own listeners. In today's episode, we share our listeners' ghost tales. What happened to one of our listeners when her and her husband move into an old historical home here in California, where the past literally comes alive with some unexplainable occurrences and odd smells? What if you came from a long line of spiritualists and tarot readers? What if one of the members of your family tree tried to help Harry Houdini communicate with his dead mother? I see dead people, shadow people, and a tiny skeleton. We'll hear 2 short stories sent in from one of our listeners down in Texas that will definitely have you sleeping with more than one nightlight on. So prepare yourself for the macabre, the dark, and the thrilling stories of episode 21, part 2 of our listeners' ghost tales.
Welcome to Haunting History, the podcast that reaches back into the past for the events that shocked us. Tales of true crime, mystery, and the macabre. And when we're lucky, those stories where the past and the paranormal meet. Because who doesn't love a good ghost story, right? I'm your host, Kat, and joining me every week will be one of my co-hosts, either Haley, my accomplice in all that I do, or Tress, my lovely sidekick in all things paranormal. Join us this season as we discuss and share true accounts from all over Southern California and beyond, from haunted locations to newsworthy incidents and crimes that stunned us. We will delve deep and find the people behind the headlines. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Haunting History Podcast, and visit our website at hauntinghistorypodcast.com. Until next time, remember, the living are far scarier than any ghost.
Hey, boo, hey.
Hi.
Hey, guys. Welcome to Holly Weird Paranormal. We are a Hollywood true crime and paranormal podcast. We're your hosts, Tammy Merhab Chavez.
Hello, I'm Bryce Mitchell-Williams.
If you're just tuning into our podcast for the very first time, welcome. Where have you been?
Yes, we missed you.
Yes, get ready to digest our voices with your ears. And if you are just returning after binge listening to our past episodes, thank you and welcome back.
We missed you as well.
We hope you're thirsty for more.
Ooh.
So guys, it is going to be a pretty exciting episode.
Yes.
This is kind of like our part 2, our ode to our part 1 of our listeners' tales.
Yes.
Yes, so we decided to do another episode with more submissions of ghost stories.
Yes. Because low-key, we have the coolest listeners. Like,
we do.
Everyone's comments on all our social media and the emails that we get and the messages. Everyone is so cool.
Yes.
I am obsessed.
Oh.
I stalk all of you. It's great.
We do.
Why is he in my backyard? It's fine.
It's fine. It's all right. Like, give me my privacy. No.
Yeah. So we love, and this is like the best thing. It's like we get to hear from you.
Yes,
I love it.
Do. We have an exciting collection of stories today. They're pretty exciting. We have 3, and I'm going to piggyback off of 2 because I have one that my cousins told me back in the summer when I went to go do the Myrtles Plantation tour and sleepover. It turns out that my cousin's house in New Orleans is haunted.
Oh.
Oh, you know, the house that I would always spend a lot of my summers at? Yes.
They didn't put that on the brochure?
They didn't. No, they didn't. So my cousins told me that their house in New Orleans is haunted, and it kind of correlates with a couple of stories we're going to share.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that story, what I like to call that story is Creeper Ghost Bob.
He has a name.
They named him Bob.
Don't name your ghost, y'all.
It gives them life.
It gives them life.
It does.
Don't name it.
I feel like every tier 1 level ghost is like, sorry, your name is Bob.
Oh, yeah. It's the go-to.
They're always the sweetheart ghost because from my first paranormal experience in the theater, I experienced a ghost named Bob.
Oh,
in
weird.
in summer stock. So when they told me about their ghost Bob, I just thought, oh wait, that's the name of the guy that, I first had my paranormal experience with, in Summerstock. So
our poor grandchildren, they're going to be like, my first ghost, Juniper Moonbeam, like with all the crazy, like ridiculous names. Like, it's going to be terrible.
Within time, it would be like all these hipster ghosts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes.
You can call me Rebel.
His mustache was twirled.
And he had this unique man bun.
Oh, well, I don't know how unique they are. I'm sporting one, so they're not that unique.
So we have a few stories. One that was, well, actually two that were submitted and one that was vocally submitted.
Love.
So we have one from Wisconsin, another one from our home state, Cali, and another one from Texas.
Love.
And Bryce, you are going to do the honors by reading the first one.
Yes, so this story is from Abby, and I'm going to start reading it. What a great segue. So I guess I'll start by saying my house is almost 100 years old. I live in a 1926 Spanish-style house out in San Bernardino that we purchased a year ago. Oh, new house. It's cute. No. There are multiple historical Spanish-style homes and Catholic sites here due to the city's history with the California Mission period, which, if you don't know that history of California, take time. It's super cool.
Google it.
Googs. Mm-hmm. We consulted with the Historical Society to see about getting info on our house's history, but have not yet heard back. Anyway, people always happen to be creeped out by my house. I spend a lot of time alone because my husband works 2 jobs. However, I have not had anything too crazy happen. When we first moved in, I would be home alone and could hear whistling coming from upstairs or another room. I love that that's your definition, Abby, of not too crazy. Okay, keep going. Then, when I'd go check, it would casually move to another room. So annoying.
That would be annoying.
That's a word that we could use.
I know. You're being annoying.
I can think of some other ones, but yep. Back in January, my mother-in-law stayed with us for a few days in our official guest room. This is the room that most people are creeped out by because it has a really weird L-shaped closet. It also has a strong, concentrated smell of cigarettes or Bengay that I cannot get rid of.
No.
The smell isn't constant, but when it smells strong AF. And will not go away for days. So she stayed in that room that night. Early the following morning, around 4 a.m., I heard a loud shatter sound downstairs. I thought maybe it was the cats breaking stuff, so I went to the bottom of the stairs and peeked over the banister. I didn't initially see anything. I go back to the room, told my husband it was probably the cats. He says that was not the cats. So fine, whatever, I go back downstairs, only this time I noticed that there's glass spewed everywhere in the living room. I thought maybe someone broke our big-ass picture window. I checked the window, and it's fine. So I'm like, "'Kay." I love that. "'Kay." Where did this glass come from? I look around and notice there is a trail of liquid on the floor all the way from the kitchen through the hallway and leading up to where the glass was shattered. I couldn't tell what it was from, so I smelled it. It was coffee. Then I remembered I had left a clear mug on the counter with just a bit of coffee in it. I go back upstairs to tell my husband, and he again says it must have been the cats knocking it off the counter. Likely. I like that. We get along. But had the cats knocked the mug off the counter, it would have broken the kitchen and not all the way in the living room. We didn't know how to explain it, so we joked about the ghost dude being mad that my husband's mom slept in his room. A few months later, we were watching TV in our TV room, and the door facing the hallway and the dining room opens. I see something moving in the hallway, so I glanced and caught a glimpse of someone, parentheses, something, running into the dining room. All I saw was a naked, pale man leg cutting into the dining room behind a wall. We checked it out, didn't see any naked man in the house, thank God.
I know.
And a few months after that, it's the night before my husband's birthday, my sisters are over, and I'm going to botch this, is it Pozzoli?
Pozzoli, yes.
What is that?
Ooh, it is one hell, girl. If you know how to make that, it's a Mexican soup.
Ooh.
It's made with, I want to say it's beef or pork, a bunch of like spices, garlic, onion, cabbage.
That sounds amazing.
It is fucking amazing. It's right up there with menudo. And from where I'm from, like my mom's from Honduras, like sopa de caracol. It's such. It is like
I'm
it
very
hits
hungry.
me. Yes, now we want soup, girl.
Great.
Yeah. She's a wife, man. That's a
love that.
wifey.
So she's making it before he comes home from work. One of my sisters left and locked the door from the outside. I peeked down the hall from the kitchen to make sure she locked the door, or closed the door. The door was closed. A few minutes later, my other sister said, "Why is the door open?" I looked down the hall, and the door was wide open. So I'm like, fuck, my cats are out. Nope, the cats are standing at the door, but did not go near it.
No, stop looking at the demon.
Oh, we got a little excited and decided to use one of those communication apps. Smart.
Mm-hmm.
We asked, "Who is here?" Tim. We left the app open and later asked, "How did you die?" Doug. Doug where? Everywhere. Why? To breathe. Oh, gross. I feel really scared.
You're almost there. I'm
almost there. At this point, my sister, and Bryce reading it, was not having it. She was freaking out, but then he stopped responding to our questions and we closed the app for the day. I decided maybe he was one of those people back in the day that accidentally was buried alive due to being in a coma or something. That is one of my biggest fears.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's called, topophobia, and it was a big epidemic. It's the fear of being buried alive.
Oh.
And back then in the 18th and 19th century, a large number of safety coffins were patented because it was a big epidemic that people were being buried alive.
No.
So they had a mechanism, like a latch, that was connected to a string that was connected to a bell right next to their tombstone or on their tombstone. So they'll pull the latch if they were to ever wake up from their long slumber or wake up from their coma in the coffin. They'll pull it and the bell will ring, notifying whoever's above ground will dig them out.
That's terrifying.
That's where the term "saved by the bell" is derived. Yeah, like I was saved by the bell. I was saved from being buried alive, not the 1980s sitcom with Zach Morris.
I think it's the sitcom, actually. I think you're getting confused.
Really?
It's the sitcom. Yeah.
Barry Zach Morris?
Very. Okay, sorry. So anyway, terrifying. Back in the day, that was accidentally buried alive due to being in a coma or something, which is why he would have been digging to breathe. Ugh.
Oh, no.
IDK, but this was the only thing that made sense at the time. I decided to tell one of the supervisors in my office about the smell in the room upstairs and the coffee ordeal. She claims to be receptive to spirits and said she feels that an older man lived there alone as a groundskeeper and that he likes it there. As of right now, this is all we have on Tim so far. He appears to be nice for the most part, but I will keep y'all updated if he turns into a total dick.
I'm sorry.
Love.
Yes.
Please do. Yes.
Yes, we would like to know. That is so crazy. You have the groundskeeper, Tim Ghost, who smells of cigarettes and Bengay.
Abby, thank you so much.
Yeah, that was a really good story. Girl, I mean, I love the fact that, she got a little freaked out, but she's like, bitch, first you knocked out a glass mug, causing me to go up and down the stairs. I mean, well, there goes leg day right there. Right. And then she goes in and investigates. That's brave. Awesome. That's brave.
I would have burned the house down, but you're right. Good. That's the better option.
# brave. Yeah, she opened that up. She's like, look, who dis? Dis Tim. All right, Tim. If I were you, I would lay some ground rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Digging everywhere.
But that is crazy.
And the smell, too.
Yeah, when it's connected to smell and everything. Ooh.
I think it's The Conjuring. There's one of those Patrick Wilson-y Famiglia movies, because there are so many together I can't tell the difference, but they talk about like the smell every time the demon and they like smell the rotting, and that part scares me.
Insidious.
Is it Insidious?
It's Insidious, yeah.
For not liking scary movies, I have seen a surprising number of scary movies.
And you always seem to forget their names because you want to forget seeing them, right?
Yeah, actively trying to block it out, yes. But that is the part that really creeped me out. And they're just like, what's that smell? It smells like meat's rotting. I'm like, oh, just get out.
Smell of a demon.
So that's really creepy.
Yeah. Oh. At least it's not anything rotting.
Yeah.
I mean, I will handle an elderly or a ghost. If it smells like, nicotine, Bengay, prune juice, I'm down. That's fine.
Prune juice.
Just like, what else would an elderly ghost smell like?
I mean,
coffee, cigarettes, and
peppermint.
Yeah. That's all I would think of. Yeah. Oh my God, that is a crazy story, Annie. Thank you so much for submitting that.
Thanks,
please,
Abby.
No, seriously, please keep all of that like posted with us. Keep your updates, very visible on our Facebook. Let us know, definitely. Yeah, send us messages. Let us know what happened with Tim.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we have another one from our listener, Katie
Hi.
from Austin, Texas. This is a really cool one. It's really, really neat. So Katie sent this over the other day, and she recorded this. So there's 2 short stories. Her stories are crazy. She is very sensitive, and we decided to not let you hear it until now, Bryce.
I love that this is just like one long punked episode.
I know.
Let's just like see how freaked out he'll
Been
get.
Parapunked, dude.
Yeah, it's 2 p.m, and I am very freaked out. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So we're going to listen to Katie's story.
Hey, girl.
Hi, guys. My name is Katie, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a recent fan, having just finished binging on all of your episodes a few weeks ago, and I eagerly await every single one. I also want to thank you guys for recommending the podcasts that you have. I found a lot of new favorites. I will start this by saying that I have had a lot of paranormal experiences in my life, especially from the age of 2 to about 20, 21. And right now I'm in my early 30s. I used to live in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. That's where I grew up. And most of my experiences happened in the 2 homes that I grew up in. So when I was a little girl, I would tell my mom all the time that I would see things. I do remember twice waking up in my parents' room, because before my sister was born, I would always sneak into their room and snuggle between them and sleep with them through the night. I remember vividly one night, I was probably about 3 or 4, because it was before my little sister was born. And I woke up and I saw the image of this small statured skeleton in the doorway. I immediately closed my eyes, tried to go back to sleep. I remember another time hearing voices. Those are the things I do remember. I remember, toys falling off of shelves. We moved from that house when I was about 8 years old. But those are the big things I can recall. Interestingly enough, my mom, this had somehow come up about, a little less than 10 years ago. She and I were chatting about that house and how I thought it was haunted. And she said, well, when you were little, you always used to say that you saw this small skeleton. It happened more than a few times, and it kind of freaked me out. And so that really validated for me, that what I saw was, I was seeing. And also, it turns out the prior owner of the home, I want to say it was possibly the person before us, or maybe 2 people before us that owned the home. The old woman died there. Her father had built the home for her, and he built 2 similar homes next door for her sisters. And they lived there from, their younger ages until they passed away in their homes. So maybe she just was looking after the place, curious about me, or not too pleased to have some little kids running around her digs. Anyway, next story, my most vivid, this is probably what most got me into the paranormal. When I was 16, in my second home, I don't want to call it haunted, this home. I just think because I was a tween and a teen in this home, I had a lot of energy going on, around me, and things would happen from time to time, but I never felt that the house was haunted. So anyway, one night I was sleeping. I will say I am a back sleeper. I remember waking up. If you ever peacefully come out of sleep and you know that, okay, your brain is slowly coming out of dream state and waking up, even though I hadn't been dreaming, and I'm waking up, and as I'm becoming more aware, I guess, of my surroundings, I can feel pressure on my shoulders. And it's pretty heavy pressure. It feels like someone is pushing my shoulders down. Now, just my shoulders. And I'm waking up and I'm thinking, okay, it's still there. It's still there. This isn't a dream. This isn't a dream. So by this point, then I am awake. My eyes are closed, and it feels like there are hands on my shoulders. It was interesting because you would think that my first reaction would be someone broke in and is trying to do bad things to me. I stayed very calm. I was trying to pretend that I was still asleep. And what I wanted to do was to see if someone was really there. So I slowly, with my eyes closed, turned my head to my right shoulder, and I could physically feel a clammy arm, some kind of appendage that felt like skin, but it was clammy. Not cold, not warm, like normal body temperature, but it was very clammy. And as soon as I did that, half a second later, it went away and the pressure lifted, and I immediately opened my eyes. And mind you, it was very dark, it's the middle of the night. My blinds, had some of the street lights coming in, but it was still very, very dark. This thing was darker than night, and it shot across my room because my doorway was across the room from where my bed was. And it probably was about 6, 7 or so feet tall. I'm really bad at guesstimating. And it turned toward me before it slid out, and it looked at me, and it looked like the Grim Reaper without the scythe. I couldn't really see a face, but all I saw were these glowing yellow-green eyes, and then it quickly slid around the corner out of my room. Needless to say, I did not follow it. But what was weird was, I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel anything really until after it left, because then I was like, oh, that was a ghost or something in my room. And, I closed my eyes and I tried to go back to sleep, and I guess I eventually did. Now I know a lot of people are going to say sleep paralysis, but I will say that, before, in my youth and in my 20s, etc., I used to never dream, or rarely ever dreamt. I don't remember having many dreams at all. I would never remember, I remembered, well, maybe I dreamt, it just wasn't something that I did. Not until in my 30s when I had my daughter. My hormones changed. So, I have all sorts of crazy dreams now. But I never did. The only dreams I would ever remember having were the few I've had about loved ones who came to me after they passed over. And a few celebrities. So anyway, I don't think it was sleep paralysis. I will stop rambling, but I have plenty more stories, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope I scared the hell out of Bryce as well. Keep up the great work, and I will be listening. Bye.
Hashtag no me toques. Hashtag little skeleton, big spooky world.
Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh, girl. I still get like goosebumps listening to this story, because I listened to it twice. I was like, and I even told her, I was like, girl, you're very sensitive. You are clairvoyance. You are clairsentience. So clairvoyance is like seeing it's like inner seeing, and clairsentience is like the feelings, the emotions, and physical sensations. She is very, very, very sensitive, and she even like replied to me back today, and she mentioned that she, I think up to her 20s, was still experiencing a lot of paranormal occurrences until something happened and she cut herself off. Wow. Or she closed that door. Yeah. I mean, it could get so intense where if you are that sensitive, you have the power to close that door. It's a little harder. But she did. But yeah, she is.
Damn.
And growing up, as a child.
Little kids, I feel like they do see in such a pure way anyway. There's like no filter for them.
Yes.
Or like there's no walls that have been put up yet.
They're very absorbent. They're like sponges, and they absorb all this energy, and they are very sensitive that, spirits are very attracted to that. And oh my God, if I were to see a little skeleton.
That's what's so weird, is like, why a skeleton?
Well, ghosts spirit takes up a form they want to take up. And this was in an article that I read in Paranormal Weekly, where there was a medium that was investigating a site of a man that was haunting a specific area of this house. And the man would take up the image of what was death. And the medium's like, oh no, honey, that's not death. You're not death. That's not what he looks like. You're a ghost, and that's it. The man would look like he had a cloak and hood, and he looked like a skeleton. Yeah. But that's the image that a lot of them would like to take a form of, or they take the form of orbs.
Can't they take the form of, like, I don't know, a taco platter? Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. Like,
that's so funny you mentioned food.
I'm honestly, I'm so hungry right now. It's ridiculous.
I know. Well, you're going to get hungrier because our girl Katie, first off, thank you so much, girl. Second, she's a culinary artist. She's a chef. She's #girlboss. She, her IG name is Culinary Pirate, and yes, you are in so many ways, girl. And she's such a sweetheart. She's based out of Austin. She does have a bitchin' kitchen. She has this amazing website called kitchen-canvas.com.
Cool.
And I'm
get
like,
it, Katie.
I know, get it, girl. God, I can't cook and like to save my life. I'm like crock pot, like dumping like stock and vegetables, like done.
That counts.
It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's so crazy, her story. But I love the fact how her mother, confirmed and was not like, telling her just to forget about it and just disregarding it. No, her mother seemed very supportive, which was very nice. That doesn't happen with children that have those gifts. You know?
A lot of times, unfortunately.
A lot of them.
Can we just talk about how I love? She's like, I don't think it was sleep paralysis because I was like taking little notes.
No.
The two things that I wrote were sleep paralysis ? And then later I just wrote demon and underlined it so many times. That's a demon. I'm terrified.
It reminded me of, remember Kate's story in the Charlie Chaplin episode when she saw that negative figure of the shadow man in Andrew's kitchen?
Yes, I do remember that.
And she said, he took up a form that was darker than night.
Yeah, that's the thing, not to like, me too, girl. If you listen to our first experiences, the demon in the field, that's the first thing I thought of, where it's like, yeah, it's dark, and then it's like there's the difference between like dark, but you could still tell what something is. Like, she's saying like the room was dark, there was like some light coming through. There's a difference between darkness and something that's like void of light. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like even darker, even like blacker somehow.
Yeah.
And as soon as she said that, and then like the glowing eyes, like I know exactly what she was looking at.
Yeah, and you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. You feel it in your gut that's no bueno.
When the eyes lock with you, that's when, like, seeing it in general, that is, like, very scary.
Yeah.
It's when they look back at you. That's
and
very
because you
intense.
went through that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, like, that was always for me. Is like, seeing it was happening, same thing, happening so quickly that, like, kind of in the moment you don't realize, like, what's happening because it's just like click, 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 like, okay. And then it's like that moment where your like fight or flight kicks in, and it's like you're looking at something bad and your body's like, get out. So like, Katie, good on you. You are way calmer than I am. Like, no. I fled.
You should have seen his facial expressions. Well,
I'm like clutching my beard, just like gripping onto my beard. Like, no.
Oh, it was scary.
Also, just the idea of clammy, like, ugh.
Yes.
Get away from me. I am clean and showered in bed, and you are touching me.
That is what freaked me out, too, because I remember I listened to this other podcast. It's called Real Ghost Stories Online, and they had this gentleman on as a special guest, and he's a medium. He's very sensitive. And he was telling a story about how him and his wife were experiencing the spirit in their house, and it was the spirit of this old man that would kind of bully his wife. And the man would grab his wife in bed. And one night the gentleman woke up and he had this ability to grab like the arm of this ghost. And he said it just felt clammy and cold. But the ghost looked at him and was like, you can see me and grab me. And homeboy was like, hell yeah, get the fuck off my wife. Yeah, I can't remember what episode number it is. I believe it was an episode. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. It's it was a really, really good episode. But this guy, like, I think he's based out of Texas, and he has the ability to see the dead and converse with them. Yeah, he has some really crazy stories. So if you fish,
Osmond, no.
I see dead people. I see tiny skeletons. So yeah,
damn,
it's crazy. Yeah. So I have a quick story I wanted to share.
Thank you, Katie. That was awesome.
I know, girl. I'm like still okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my goosebumps to settle.
And they never did.
No. So the ghost story I'm going to share with you guys is from my cousin, Jasmine, what's up? Hello. And Jasmine has a sister, Phoebe. And they're both my cousins. They're both very close to me, my sisters. And when we were growing up, they bought this house in the mid to late 90s. And I remember always visiting that house, staying the night there. When we moved to Houston, we would always like see each other in the summers. They would spend 2 weeks at our house, and we would, drive and spend another 2 weeks in their house. So I remember a few months after they purchased this house that they told me and my family that someone died in it. And it was the original owner. And a lot of the homes, I'm sure everywhere else, but specifically in New Orleans, a lot of them were built in the 40s and 50s, especially in the suburban areas. So where they live is an area called Algiers in the West Bank of New Orleans. Okay. So it's across the Huey P. Long Bridge, which is that big fancy bridge over the Mississippi River. You could see it from Jackson's Brewery and from the French Quarter. So she goes on to tell me this story when I was there this past summer, and I was telling them my story about myrtles.
Yes.
And mid-breadstick, because I was
never interrupt a breadstick.
Never unless it's a ghost story, seriously. But mid-breadstick, they were like, our house is haunted. I'm like, wait, what?
Just trying to enjoy my breadstick.
Yeah. So she goes on to say, the house is haunted by the gentleman that originally owned it. So as I was saying before, the house was built in the 50s. The guy that originally owned it built more additions to the house, because in the 50s, the house had to set up a small apartment here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So he added a study, a guest room, a rec center, a rec place, and extended the patio. So the guy, he really put his blood, sweat, and tears into this house. He put in a lot of time and effort. And he passed away due to old age in his late 80s, early 90s, but he passed away in one of the rooms of the house. They believe maybe the study. Yeah, so she goes on to tell me that a few years after they moved into the house, they started feeling like they were being watched.
No. Oh, God, I hate that.
Specifically when they're in their rooms sleeping or waking up, they would feel like they're being watched. So Jazz tells me that her and her sister at night, when they would go to sleep, especially their parents, they would, and I know this when I would spend the night there, they would leave the doors kind of open with a 2-inch crack because they had a night light in the hallway, so that light could kind of go into their room so it's not pitch black.
Yeah.
So they would notice this figure standing in the doorway and block that light.
No.
Like you said before, like a void. And at first they thought it was their dad, probably checking in on them. But they would notice it looked like a figure of a man standing in the crack of their doorway.
Oh.
They would turn around and then change positions again, look at the doorway, it's gone. So
Ew.
One morning, Jazz mentions to her dad, oh, were you up at 4 a.m. in the morning checking in on us? And he said, no, I was passed out. And so they kind of shrugged it off. But they noticed too, whenever they would be by themselves or say in their rooms studying or taking a nap, they would get that feeling of being watched.
Oh, gross.
So her sister shared this story too. She said, I was studying. I was in high school. I was studying. I have my desk set next to the doorway, and I had the door opened halfway. And I'm, looking at my computer, and in the corner of my eye, I see it looks like a figure of a person standing in the doorway, and she calls out. She thinks it's her dad. She's like, hey, Dad, what's up? No response. She looks at the doorway. It's gone.
No.
But she had this feeling of being watched. So she and her sister start noticing this a lot, that there's something standing in the doorway, and they get this really this heavy feeling like they're being watched.
Oh God, I hate it.
But nothing else will happen to them. There's no weird noises, nothing levitating, nothing. They didn't feel anything negative. They would just feel this creepy thing looking at them through the doorway. So they eventually called this I guess energy Bob. They called him Creeper Ghost Bob because he just creeps at the doorway. And stares in.
Name your ghost.
But then it starts to make he starts to make himself known to the parents. So her father chimed in. My uncle chimes in and says, I came home really early from work one afternoon, and I took a shower. I lay in bed, falling asleep to the TV, and I was changing positions, and my eyes kind of open, and they dart to the doorway, and I see a figure sitting in the doorway, and I sit up and I rub my eyes, and I call out because I'm thinking it's my wife or one of the girls. Mm-mm. And I open my eyes again, and it's gone.
No.
And he said, no, I swore I saw like someone standing there in the doorway. It was a figure of a person. It was like, I called out to it, you know?
Ugh.
And he called out, he was like, Jasmine, Phoebe, hun, or is anyone home? So he walks around the house, no one's there. Everyone's either at work or at school. So that's where he shared his story with the girls one morning, and they're like, yeah, we've been getting the sensation too. So they started to put two and two together, and they're like, I think it's the dude that died here.
Oh my God.
I think it's that guy because he died in the house, and I think he is coming back to check on the house because he really spent a lot of time building these additions, and he really loved this house, and I think he's just checking on things.
Ugh, but does he have to stare?
He has to
door?
stare, but
Ugh.
my cousin Jasmine tells me this story that freaked all of us out.
Oh,
so
great.
This was
great.
She's like, this was like the worst experience I had with Bob, but it's really funny. So my cousin was working as a masseuse. She would pick up the late shifts at a big fancy hotel that she worked at in the Quarter. Mm-hmm. So she would come home really late and then sleep all morning, early afternoon. You don't mess with her sleep. Yeah. She had a pug named Mickey. He would always sleep on the foot of her bed. Her bed was always faced to the doorway. Right. So she said one afternoon, everyone was at work. She was sleeping in her room. She's changing positions, and she hears Mickey going, like, he's kind of growling. He's like, like that, like kind of like low bark growling, but staring at the doorway. And she says, as I'm changing positions in bed, my focal point goes to the doorway. And mind you, my door is half open, so I could clearly see into the hallway. And she says, I see a black figure of a man standing in the doorway. And it freaked her out. She got so pissed that she threw a pillow at the doorway. Hilarious. And she turned to change positions, and she goes back to sleep.
That's hilarious.
And she said that her dog stopped barking. She wakes up. Her dog's like, licking himself. And she's like, okay, he's gone.
Wow.
She was like, it freaked me out because I woke up when I saw him. But then I'm like, dude, like, I'm fucking over this. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, don't mess with my sleep. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah.
What a little creeper.
So they have a creeper ghost named Bob. And I was like so disappointed. I'm like, all that time that I spent a night there, I never felt or seen anything. Yeah. The only thing I was like creeped out by was the fact that someone died in that house. That was the only thing I was creeped out by. But other than that, I never felt anything weird whenever I would stay there during the summers.
I mean, it kind of makes sense too, because like he probably is checking in on the people who are like living in the house. Yeah. He seems to have put so much into the house, whereas like visitors he might not care as much about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that, don't watch me in my room.
He added a lot. He added a lot of additions because I saw like the blueprint of the original house. Oh wow. And it was tiny. I bet. Super tiny. Even the house that my mom has in Metairie, it used to be really tiny. They were just cookie cutter houses. Yeah. And what people do is they add on to the house. They add a driveway. They add 3 extra rooms. They extend the living room. Right. They raise them up to prevent flood. So, yeah, I mean.
Oh, no, ghosts, don't be staring at me.
But I love the way she was telling it. When she goes into telling about like how Bob disrupted her sleep.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, she's like, you just don't mess with her during her sleep.
Hilarious.
Poor thing. All right, so we have another story, and this one is from Jessica Lockmees. And Jessica is based out of Wisconsin. Thank you, Jessica. This was a beautiful story, and it almost I almost broke down. Aww. It's like #Coco, and we'll see why.
Oh God.
Okay, so she writes, "Hello, love the podcast, and I love my Myrtle's postcard." So she won one of the postcards. Cool. Yeah, she was one of our winners.
Hi.
Hello. I have a little Houdini story for you that's been in my family for generations. Now, I can't verify it because it was told to me over 15 years ago by my maternal grandma. Unfortunately, my grandma is 91 and suffers from dementia, so I can't verify anything. My heart goes out to you, girl. I've been there. God bless her and God bless you. All right, here it goes. During the time of Houdini outing mediums and psychics in Chicago, he met my grandma's paternal great aunt.
Whoa.
My grandma never told me her name, by the way, who was a medium in the city. When Houdini came to her asking about his mother, she set him straight. She told him that she can't guarantee she can contact his mother. If she does, she does, and if she doesn't, she doesn't. She wasn't going to trick him or pretend to make contact. She was unable to contact his mother because she was unable to make contact and was honest with Houdini. Her reputation as a medium remained intact. Jessica also explains how her grandmother used to read tarot cards, use a Ouija board. She said, we once contacted Lord Byron for a high school assignment I had.
Hilarious.
That is so crazy. That was so amazing.
So funny.
And tell me about ghost sightings. I wish I would have asked my grandma the name of her aunt, but I was in awe when she told me the story. My grandma is extraordinary. She read about Edgar Casey, I think it's Casey, Jan Dixon, and the amazing Kreskin. I remember my aunt suggesting to use the Ouija to contact Lord Byron, and my grandma was, okay, let's do it.
Hilarious.
That's so true. Like Edgar Casey. No, it's Edgar Case. He is a famous clairvoyant, like an American clairvoyant.
Whoa.
He's very, very famous. He even started the ARE, which is the Association for Research and Enlightenment, in 1931.
Cool.
Yeah. So all those names, like, those are legit names. Those are legit names of the OG clairvoyants.
Damn. I love that, too, that her grandmother or the great aunt was like, I'm not trying to trick you. I'll contact whom I can contact. I think that alone is, like, so verifying. Like, if you go... I don't know why I do this, but I always want, like... I think it's because anyone that has died in my family would be, like, very upset with me that I was using a clairvoyant.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone was, like, reading something from me and weren't pretty immediately, like, they're pissed at you, I would be like, this isn't real. You know what I mean? So I love that she was kind of like, I'm not going to promise I can contact your mother, Harry Houdini. I'm going to, like, do what I can do, but I'm not going to, like, lie.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
That is very, very cool. And back then, like, that was your career. That was your job. And your reputation was always on the line, especially if Houdini showed up at your doorstep.
I mean, he was like Yelp before Yelp. Harry Yelp Houdini. I'm pretty sure that's his name.
He was the Victorian form of Yelp right there.
Yes. You don't need to Google that. That is definitely a fact. That's fine. Don't Google that one.
This was a very beautiful story. This was amazing. I wanted to end the episode with this one. Yeah, this is a very special story. And yeah, definitely my heart goes out to you, girl. Thank you for sharing. That was a very beautiful story. And we hope that you are all able to send us some stories in the future for future listener tales. Yay. Because we love reading these stories. To me, whenever someone shares a paranormal story, it means so much. It's not just about the chills and the thrills. It's to me, it's like something kind of personal.
It's a bond.
It is a bond. It's truly a bond, and I love listening to them, and we thank you all so much for submitting. Cool. Yeah, thank you guys. So we have 2 really cool notes, guys, that we definitely want to share with you.
Yes.
So it seems that we're going to be doing a little giveaway.
Yay.
Yes, we're going to be doing a giveaway on some coffee mugs.
They're so cute. I'm going to enter the giveaway.
They are.
Is that how that works?
Let it be known that Tammy has a obsession with coffee mugs.
Same.
Oh, you do too? You collect them?
It's like a problem. I just keep adding more shelf space for coffee mugs.
You too?
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh my God,
it's
girl.
really
I could
bad.
show you the cupboard right now.
And then the weird thing is that I still use like the same one.
Me too.
But I keep buying them.
Me too.
It's a problem.
It's really bad. My husband last year had to sit me down and was like, babe, we need to talk about what? The coffee mugs. I'm like, yeah.
What about them?
What about them?
Our children, our beautiful children.
Yeah, they are. They kind of are. I love collecting them. And I went shopping at the Fashion Square Mall here in Sherman Oaks, and there's this new store, Miniso, that just opened up, and they had a collection of Halloween mugs.
They're so cute. I'm looking at them right now over your shoulder.
Yeah.
They're so adorable.
They are very adorable. There's one that is like a cat face. Oops, sorry. There's a cat face, and there's another one that says drink up witches. So there's going to be a drawing, and we'll be posting this next week. Actually, when you hear this, most likely in a couple of days. Yeah. We'll be doing another drawing, so you guys can get into the Halloween spirit. They're beautiful mugs, and they're going to be perfect while you drink your cocoa and your coffee, your tea, or your soup while listening to some really awesome paranormal podcasts during the month of October, including ours, we hope.
Yeah, you all have to enjoy autumn for us because it's still like 100 degrees here. So
seriously.
Please enjoy it.
I'm in shorts, my sandals, and a shirt. My hair dried in about 2 minutes because it's been so warm here. I'm getting a little misty right now.
Yeah.
It's like
the dewy
sweating
glow.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So this segues into more clues about October.
Yes.
So guys, we've been putting up some little teases lately on our social medias. So if you didn't listen to the ending of our last episode, just an FYI, I know, how dare you? Just a little FYI. Your girls are going to be doing something really special, especially for our California listeners.
Yes.
We are teaming up with a very famous California theater. We finally have words to explain this right now because we're not that shooketh. I mean, we're still shooketh, but we're able to talk with our hands and know what to do with our hands. So we noticed that we have a huge listening crowd based out of California.
Yes.
Thank you for the Cali love, guys. So if you live in California, this is going to be really awesome, especially if you live in the Los Angeles area. This is going to be even more awesome. So definitely tune in for more details, but don't think that we left out our other listeners from all over the world, all over the nation.
Yes.
We're teaming up with a duo in mid-October. They have a radio show, and they're amazing. And what they do is even more amazing, especially in the paranormal community, especially when it comes to paranormal preservation. They're great, and you'll be able to see us and meet us electronically through this special show that we're going to do with them.
Cool.
Yes, they are so cool. I love them so much. So we'll be dropping little hints in the beginning of October.
Yes.
For sure. All right, guys, before we go, we have a few spiritual bays of the week we have to definitely give a shout out to. The first ones are our favorite ghouls Gone Wild podcast. So they're really hilarious, especially on Instagram. Go check them out. So it's a podcast about the host's experience with ghouls, ghosts, and all things spooky. I know. They're really funny, and they're really awesome on Instagram. Definitely go check them out. Yes. Another one is So It Is Told podcast. It's a podcast where today's comedians and travelers and all-around amateurs discuss yesterday's fables, myths, and fairy tales. They're a comedy podcast. I highly recommend to go listen to them.
Amazing.
They're really hilarious, and I've been binge listening to them this morning because I needed a break. I needed some laughs. So
sometimes you gotta laugh.
You do.
Yeah.
So they're a great podcast to definitely check out. They're so visible on Twitter. They're really funny, and they're so awesome. So definitely go check both of them out. Hi, guys. So if you love Hollyweird Paranormal, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. It really helps us out a lot. It helps us indie podcasters become a little more visible. And if you can't get enough of Hollyweird Paranormal, then stalk us on Instagram and Facebook at Hollyweird Paranormal and Twitter at HWP Podcast. Want to submit a story, especially a spooky story of your own to scare Bryce?
Girl.
By surprise? Please send them over to hollyweirdparanormal@gmail.com. You can catch up with our past episodes on blueberry.net, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, Castbox, Player FM, and Spotify.
We're everywhere.
We are. All right, guys. Till next time.
Yay.
Bryce, do you have anything else you want to say?
It's honestly, I'm so hungry and it's so hot. I don't think
you're so spooked out.
So spooked out. I know I'm hiding in a corner.
All right. Till next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.